The amount of times that I played this DVD is nuts.
Hello, Adam Ryan Donato.
Hello, welcome back to another Hard View. I am here, of course, to talk about Fantastic Four First Steps. This is the latest Marvel movie out in the MCU. It's the first MCU movie to contain the Fantastic Four. Well, I guess we got Krasinski as Reed Richards in Multiverse of Madness. And we got Johnny in Deadpool and Wolverine. But this is the first official movie, and the bar is so astronomically low. So my history with the franchise, I never watched the Roger Corman one from the 90s. I did grow up very, very close with the two Tim Story movies, specifically Rise of the Silver Surfer. I thought the Silver Surfer was super dope. I liked how there was a lot of villains, like we had Doctor Doom's back, we're obviously dealing with the Surfer, we're dealing with Galactus, and the big complaint about that movie, oh my gosh, Galactus is a cloud. One of the big superhero sins of the entire genre for that entire decade is, oh, isn't it lame that we didn't actually show Galactus, he's just a big cloud guy. And then these movies are too small scale, they're a little bit too jokey, they're not as dynamic with their action sequences. Doom is not as fulfilling as you'd want him to be. The casting isn't all exactly that. Like the way they handle Sue Storm's character is very underwhelming. There's a lot left to be desired from that original two Fantastic Four movies. Then they go make Fan Four stick. They offer Josh Trank the role of director to make whatever movie he wants to make, and he gets halfway through making this like body horror type origin story, and they decide, no, we want it to be more like an MCU movie, and then it ends up seeming like nothing, and it results in one of the worst superhero movies of all time. I really hate that movie, so the bar is so low, for this new one to be the definitive big screen version of these characters. And honestly, it really feels like an apology movie for Rise of the Silver Surfer. Pretty much everything about it, like it feels like if Dark Phoenix was done correctly. It really does remind me of that like first Deadpool movie where it's like, okay, well we know we've screwed up in the past, so here we're gonna do our very best to deliver you an authentic version of these characters that more so resemble what we got in the comics and maximize the abilities of these characters. And we're making the movie in the year of our Lord 2025, so special effects are way different now than they were 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. So we are able to make a movie that is big, bombastic. This is a big space epic movie, and I think that's the best thing that it has going for it. The best sequence of this movie is like this chase scene that happens while they're going through interstellar travel. Beams are warbling, and it's really cool. There's a black hole involved. It's an absolutely jaw-dropping sequence that's awesome to see in IMAX and is one of the best action sequences from the MCU in a long time, I'd say. Some people were complaining about the special effects. I think that's kind of the problem, is we couldn't deliver a live-action Galactus back in 2007 because CGI just really wasn't there yet, and it does sometimes look goofy here still. But that didn't bother me. I was just happy that we were finally realizing this character in the way that he was supposed to be portrayed. He's a giant guy, he's walking through the city, he's got the big horns on him. I thought all that was really great. I think the decision to do a different Silver Surfer, I know it's like a different character. It's not like they just took the same character and made it a woman. To a lot of people, it's going to feel like that. And if that's a major issue for you, then I'm really sorry. I don't know how you can handle that if gender really upsets you that much. There was nothing about Silver Surfer that was like, you know what, he must have a penis. I thought Julia Garner was good in the limited role that she had. I really feel like her, as well as pretty much everyone else, I wish we had more time to develop these characters and go through their character arcs a little bit more. I really don't feel like much of anyone has much of a character arc. This movie does really feel like an episode. It feels very rushed. The origin of these characters is kind of explained over like a newsreel thing, like a documentary newsreel thing in the first like 10 minutes of the movie. And that's fun. You get to see some glimpses of really cool action sequences that I would rather just have like actually gone through. But I really don't like that expo dump kind of like way of doing that. I thought that was kind of lame. But it does help us to catch up, so we're just showing a story in the life of these characters. We're not necessarily setting up their origin. That's one thing that Superman went through as well, and I feel like Superman handled it in a little bit better of a way. I feel like, especially the fact that these movies came out so close to one another in this summer, it does really feel like these are cut from the same cloth, where it's like, we're going to take a superhero that's been done a lot, that a lot of people may feel like wasn't handled very well in the last couple iterations, and we're going to give you a version that feels more like the classic, iconic comic book version of these characters, and we know that you know the origin story of these characters, so we're not going to give you an origin story. We're just going to plop you in the middle, but we can't just exactly pop you in the middle because we have to establish for the normies out there that, this is a superhero team and this is how they got their powers and this is where they are and this is what they do. I will say one thing I was really worried about going into the movie was the casting of the main Fantastic Four. I will say now I like them. I do think that Johnny and Sue don't look right. Like I wish they were more natural blondes, like that their hair is clearly dyed and that just kind of looks off to me. This Johnny is less of a douchebag and more of like this like hyperactive overactive, kind of like little like child of the group. It seems like he's constantly trying to assert himself into the fold with when this team is trying to make plans and such, and they're just not really giving him his due respect. Sue, on the other hand, really commands attention. She has one scene which is really wonderful. There's an ethical dilemma that's going on throughout the movie. She has this one scene where she really kind of settles that ethical debate. It's not really left up to, oh, is this right or wrong? It's kind of like a clear black and white, like, no, this is the correct thing to do. And I really like how she takes charge and handles that situation, and the way that she handles that and the cadence in which she handles that, I think is very good. I really like her performance. I just still don't think that she's like perfectly casted for this role. Pedro Pascal actually did a really wonderful job. I really feel like he handled Reed Richards in a way that I felt was satisfying. It really bothered me before when I heard that he was trying to do more of like this 1950s accent, and they said, no, we just want you to sound like Pedro Pascal. But I think that he handled it well. I don't think that this is like, when I close my eyes, who I envision as Reed Richards or anything like that, but I think it was a very valid representation of this character, and I really enjoyed him, and I think he brought a lot of emotion to the movie. Like, I think that the scenes that most affected me are like, for example, when he in the trailer is at the press conference and they're asking if they're safe, and he's like, I don't know. And just the ways that he tries to handle the ethical dilemma and plan with the team and, you know, deliberate with his wife over what they're going to do with their son and how they're going to handle their lives going forward. So I feel like he has the most going on emotionally. I think Ben was quite the standout for me here. I think he looks great. I really like the beard thing. I thought that ended up working out pretty nicely. That was one thing that we were kind of like jokingly debating about before the movie, like how he would shave, and they kind of show you in the movie, which I thought was fun. I think he looks great. I really like the voice acting and motion capture performance that we got from the guy from The Bear. I thought he was a very warm character. I think it's funny how he's constantly holding the baby, and I know that the reason why that's happening is because the baby is CGI. The baby looks terrible in CGI. Let me be very honest about that. Ben looks good. I thought Galactus is kind of hit or miss. The Surfer looks really good. The cosmic, like, space scenes look really, really great. I think Mole Man's a lot of fun in this movie. He has a small little bit that he does, and I really kind of like how they make this world feel really lived in. I think one of the best decisions of making this movie, it's kind of ambitious, like how we're going to make a movie that's in a completely different universe. We're going to do it a completely different time period, and we're going to have to establish a lot of these different things. Are there superheroes in this world? How do the people feel about the superheroes? You know, have they fought anybody before? Like, what is the history of what's going on, the context of this situation? So it kind of adds this little level of like mystique of like, ooh, like what's going on in this world, which I haven't really felt like before with the MCU, where I'm like obnoxiously involved in what's going on in this world. And then I'm upset that there's things that aren't being dealt with going on in this world. I feel like I had a lot of those problems with Captain America, the Brave New World. I think this is the Fantastic Four movie that we really deserved, you know, and I wish that it came out when I was 8, because this is exactly what I wanted, was a big special effects bonanza with a bunch of action sequences. I thought it was really cool. I just wish that it didn't feel so rushed. It feels like a really big epic movie, but it feels like we don't really get a lot of time to like sit with these characters, you know, play with the ideas at hand and really get to know everybody. It feels very fast. It feels like an episode, which is interesting because the director is a TV director. I think it's going to be a huge hit. I think people are really going to like it. I think they're going to enjoy this team. I think for a lot of people, this will be their big screen representation of the Fantastic Four. I mean, it's mine at this point. I know I grew up with the Jessica Alba team and whatnot, and I think that there's a lot of things that I still like about those movies, and I think there's certain things that those movies do better. I think those movies are too much hanging out, and then this movie is not enough hanging out. And so, I don't know, it's just hard for me personally to remove myself from the personal context of like, I'm jealous that this movie didn't come out when I was younger, and I can't, you know, remove my brain from the fact that the situation that's happening is a response. It's an apology for something that happened before. Like, I wish I could watch it with the innocent purity of someone who's never seen the Fantastic Four before and just judge it on purely on its own merits, but it's so ingrained in the franchise that it's a part of and the larger cinematic universe that it's a part of, that those expectations, concepts of what things are and how things should be are already solidified in my brain. So I think it's good. I don't think it's as good as Superman. I think it's way better than Thunderbolts, Brave New World. I was really upset with Thunderbolts, and I think that this really satisfied exactly what I wanted. I wanted a superhero movie with a team of superpowered characters that wore colorful costumes, fought a big, cool action, like villain, like some big CGI villain with powers as well, and a bunch of action set pieces, and no one's depressed in this movie. So therefore, I had a wonderful time, and I feel like it's the best Marvel movie I've seen. I think I like Deadpool Wolverine a little bit more. I definitely like Guardians more, but I like this a little bit more than I like Multiverse of Madness. Maybe it's just below below Wakanda Forever. I think when I put in my ranking, it was 18 out of 37. It's almost exactly mid, but like for a cinematic universe that's delivered a lot of movies that I really enjoy, I don't think that that's a bad thing at all. I think currently it's my 10th favorite movie of the year, but maybe I'm being a little bit generous. It's just the type of movie that I enjoy and I had a lot of fun with it, and I can see myself thinking about it and rewatching it. So therefore, 4 with a heart. I really like this movie. I think it's really good. It's a long time coming, you know, so I'm really appreciative that we finally got a version of these characters that feels like what we read in the comic books. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. Like, comment, subscribe, and why don't you guys tell me what's your favorite post-credit scene from the last 5 years, like post-Endgame? I feel like that's a big problem with these movies is we used to know where we were going. We had a good roadmap, and so we were able to tease things in a pretty efficient way. But now I feel like we've lost any kind of like grasp of like what's happening in the next 2 years. So like with this movie, I'm not going to spoil what the credit scenes were, but one of them was like a serious one. It wasn't really shocking information, and it also felt like it was pulling its punches a bit. Like, we don't know what we're doing, so therefore we're not going to reveal everything. We're just going to give you a little glimpse of like, yeah, so this might happen later, but I don't know who that is, and I don't know who's playing that character, and I don't know, you know, it's just a lot of things where it's like a little bit unsatisfying. And then there's also a little gag, and the gag is fun and cute and has to do with the world building, and I think that's like fun.